Nobody believed in you, and that is the greatest advantage you have ever been given. Most men spend their entire lives trying to prove they belong. They chase validation from people who wouldn't even show up to their funeral. They shrink themselves to fit rooms that were never built for them. They wait for permission to become what they already are. You didn't get that permission. Good. That permission would have made you soft. There is a particular kind of man that the world has decided to overlook. Maybe you grew up without money. Maybe you started your career late while watching others accelerate past you. Maybe you made a catastrophic mistake, lost everything, and had to crawl back from a place most people don't survive. Maybe no one ever put their hand on your shoulder and said, "I believe in you. You are the one." That absence leaves a mark. I know it does. But here is what nobody tells you about that mark. It is not a wound. It is armor they don't know you're wearing. When the world counts you out, something shifts. The noise goes quiet. The social pressure to perform for an audience that isn't watching disappears. You stop dressing up your ambition for other people's approval because those people already made their decision about you. And in that silence, in that rejection, in that cold shoulder from the world, you are free in a way the favored son will never be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't writing motivational content. He was a Roman emperor who inherited a crumbling empire, who spent more of his reign at war than at peace, who watched people he loved die while he carried the weight of a civilization on his back. He understood that obstacles are not detours from the path. They are the path. Being counted out is an obstacle. It is also fuel, and the question is whether you are going to let it bury you or burn through you. Think about what being underestimated actually means in practice. It means people leave you alone. It means no one is watching your moves. It means you can make mistakes in the dark, correct them in the dark, and emerge changed in a way that looks like magic to everyone who wasn't paying attention. The man everyone expects to win is under a microscope. Every stumble gets cataloged. Every failure becomes a narrative. But you are invisible to them. You can rebuild in silence, and silence is the most productive environment a man can work in. Here is the brutal truth about starting late or starting from nothing. The timeline you had in your head was always a fiction. There was never a moment at which you were supposed to have arrived. Society hands you these phantom deadlines, by 25, by 30, by 35. And when you miss them, something in you decides the game is over, that you are behind, that you have already lost. That story is a lie, and it is a lie specifically designed to stop men like you from ever beginning. Colonel Harlan Sanders was 62 years old when he franchised Kentucky Fried Chicken, selling a recipe he'd been refused on by over 1,000 restaurants before one said yes. Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky while sleeping in his car with his dog, so broke he had to sell the dog to buy food, then sold the dog back with the script proceeds when the film got made. These are not feel-good stories. They are proof that the world's timeline is completely arbitrary, that the only deadline that matters is the one you set for yourself, starting right now. And the men who were given everything early, the ones who were handed the head start, the connections, the safety nets, many of them crumble the moment the road gets rough because no one ever taught them what to do when things fall apart. But you have been falling apart and reassembling since before this became your goal. That knowledge is not something you can learn in a classroom or buy with inherited wealth. It lives in your body from the years you survived before anyone was watching. This is the part where I want you to stop and sit with something uncomfortable. Think about the people who counted you out. Picture them clearly. Not to fuel hate, not to spend your life in resentment. Resentment is a weight you carry that slows you down. But I want you to look at their doubt and understand what it actually was. Their doubt was a projection of their own ceiling. When someone tells you that you will not make it, they are telling you where their imagination ends. They cannot conceive of the version of you that is possible, because they have never had to conceive of a version of themselves beyond what was handed to them. Their doubt is not information about your potential, it is information about their limits. And the man who uses that projection as fuel understands something alchemical. He takes something worthless, someone else's limitation, and converts it into energy. Not into anger, not into obsession with them, into a cold, quiet, relentless drive that doesn't need their validation anymore, and never will again. You have heard the phrase, chip on your shoulder. Most people treat it like a defect, like something you should work through in therapy and eventually release. I am not saying bitterness is your destination. I am saying that chip, that scar, that specific knowledge that no one handed you anything, it is a competitive advantage. It is the reason you will outwork men who had more than you, because they are working to maintain. You are working to build. And there is a different fire in those two motives that anyone in a room with you will eventually feel. Now here is the discipline piece. Because fire without direction burns the wrong things. Using doubt as fuel does not mean proving yourself to the doubters. That trap destroys men. The moment your work becomes about them, you are handing them control of your internal state, and that is the one thing you cannot afford to give away. The move is to redirect the fuel inward, to let their disbelief quietly inform the standard you hold yourself to in private, to use it every morning when you don't want to get up, to use it every time the work gets hard and your brain wants to negotiate with you about taking an easier road. When the voice in your head says this is too hard, you remember the voice of everyone who already decided you wouldn't make it, and you make that voice irrelevant. This does not happen in a dramatic moment. It does not happen in a single training session or a single business decision or a single act of discipline. It happens in the accumulation, in the compounding of quiet days where you did the work when no one was watching, day after day after day, until what seemed impossible to everyone who counted you out becomes the obvious, inevitable result to you. There is one more thing I want to address directly, because it comes up every time a man who was counted out starts to rise. People will rewrite history. The same ones who said it would not happen will find a way to stand close to the result and act like they always believed. Do not be shocked by this. Do not let it poison the win. That revisionism is just confirmation that the win was real enough to make them want to be near it. Your job is not to correct the record. Let them rewrite whatever they want. You know the truth of what those years actually cost. You know the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed for a goal no one believed in but you. You know the relationships you let go of because they were anchoring you to a version of yourself that no longer existed. You know the quiet hours, the lonely decisions, the private battles that never made it into anyone's story about you. That knowledge is yours. It cannot be stolen, revised, or handed to someone else. It lives in you as the most unbreakable form of confidence there is, because it is not based on what anyone said about you. It is based on what you actually did. You already know what rock bottom feels like. You have already survived the thing that was supposed to end you. That is not a small thing. Most men never get tested at that level. Most men live their whole lives avoiding the kind of pressure that you have already walked through. The version of you that got counted out and is still here, still reading, still moving, that version is already harder than the men who never had to fight for it. You were never behind. You were just being forged. Now build in silence. Let the work speak when it is ready, and destroy every expectation they had for you with nothing but time and consistency. If this hit different, subscribe. And drop the word "counted" in the comments below. Let me know you heard this.